Greetings, everyone. DFG here. Hope you guys are having a very good Saturday. Hope you can see me. I've been out getting some sun down here in New Orleans. So, for those of you who believe that Aboriginals, people of color, can't get sunburned or darkened by the sun, I guess that not sunburned, but darkened by the tan. That's the word I'm looking for. Here's perfect evidence. Oh, yes, we do get tans as well. Skin holds up a little bit better. So, than, obviously lighter skin, white skin. But we get brown a little bit too. So, but anyway, I digress. I just want to talk to you guys about a couple of things today. First, I want to share is about children. If you remember the video I did a couple of days ago with the Katrina recovery, it's interesting that I've already seen a couple of lawns, or not lawns because they're not lawns, but lots getting cut. And I'm sure it's because of the support that you guys are giving that video to make sure that those children are not left in harm's way due to the neglect of this city and its officials. And I have to add this into this statement. The men of color in this community as well, because I'm just real inquisitive about where is your voice. You guys who live here all the time, 24/7. Where have you been for the last 13 years? Why haven't you held the city accountable? And I've been hearing that, well, there are laws. If people own the property, they can't, do anything because somebody else is owning the property. Well, guys, unless you've been asleep, I'm talking to those guys that are living in this community, Lower Ninth Ward, New Orleans. Unless you've been asleep or had your head stuck up under a rock, any rule that's on the books not only can be changed, but we've seen many examples of those rules being changed with just a little bit of persistency, a little bit of resilience, and those rules can be changed. So that is not an excuse. So if that's your rationale or your reasoning, well, the city says this, the city says that, guys, the mayors, the Congress people, they are elected officials. What does that mean? They are elected by you to do your bidding. So they don't have an option not to listen to you. Okay? They're not the boss. You're the boss. And I'm afraid you don't realize that. And that you're accountable for. Two things. That you have not held the people who work for you accountable. And then secondly, you haven't been very persistent to ensure that your community, your children, what about your wives, your daughters, all of the females who have to walk up and down those dangerous streets out there. You have neglected them as well. Okay? I'll stop right there in relationship to that. But I have seen some action, and it's just strange that because of your support, talking about the general population here, and this goes across so-called racial lines, color lines, because I know for a fact that several white men have gotten involved to assist in this project to get this area cleaned up. And to be truly transparent with you, that's who I've heard from about it. I haven't heard anything, from so-called, I'll stop you. I haven't heard anything from the Aboriginal men, colored men, black men. I haven't heard anything from those men as it relates to the video and what they're going to do to assist here, with the exception of my son Derek, and you guys know that he participated in the actual recording of that video. Okay, moving right along. So I have seen some action. We need a lot more action. There's a council meeting that's going to be held here as well, right here in the Ninth Ward, a block away from where I am today, with the councilwoman, Cindy Wynn, is going to be there from 12 noon to 2:30 p.m. to discuss this very subject. Now, whether or not that video has something to do with her meeting, I can't say. I just know after that video, I find out the next day there's going to be a meeting scheduled down the street to talk about what? The climate of the Lower Ninth Ward. And yours truly, right here, is going to be there. You can believe it. And I'm going to do some recording there if they allow me to, so that you guys will have an update on what was discussed and what action is being taken. But more importantly, I just want to say thank you guys for your support and sharing of that video. And we need more sharing of that video, because I suspect that, we may end up in a situation they tell us what we want to hear, but figure we're going to go away. But in this instance, I commit, we are not going away. If everybody else goes away, your friend, your brother, Dale Green, is going to not go away. I'm going to stay after them, stay on it, and hold them accountable for it. Promise. All right? Okay. Now back to the children. I'm going to say, man, when you going to talk about the children? One of the things I want to say is about medication. Because, again, in situations like this, there's statistics that we saw yesterday, a good friend of mine's, I saw it on the highway, that 41% of the children in New Orleans suffer with PTSD. 41%. So that means 4 out of every 10 children right here in the city of New Orleans are suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. Now, you and I both know that's got to be related to looking at those city streets, and everything that those horrific streets have to offer these kids. I was out in the sun today, as I said earlier, getting my little, vitamin D sun. You need to get vitamin D sun. It helps to keep you from getting depressed or being depressed, believe it or not. But I heard a mother tell her, I don't know if it was a little boy or a little girl. I could hear the voice, but I did not see the child. But the mother was unfortunately raising her voice to the little child, telling the child, how come you always want to go somewhere? Get in the car. Get in the car. You always want to go somewhere. And I thought to myself, man, she just don't understand. Can you imagine for that child, if that child has to get up every day, here it is Saturday, and all that child is going to see is dilapidated houses, broken down cars, grass growing 5 times taller than he is, rats, mosquitoes, bugs, snakes, etc., constantly running in front of him all day long, and that's what he's going to garbage in the streets overgrown. Can you imagine why that kid is asking that question? Sure, you can imagine it. That, unfortunately, the mother can't even see it anymore. I think she's become so blinded by the condition. I think she's adjusted and adapted. She's adapted to this environment to the point that, as the old saying, she can't see the forest for the trees. But that child sure could. And I think that child was not being unreasonable. You follow me? The child probably just wanted to change the scenery. There's a beautiful city park uptown where they do take tax dollars and keep nice, okay? Through contributions, however they get the money up there. And that place is free and it's beautiful. But again, and it costs nothing. But anyway, that's the dilemma that these children are confronted with. And if we don't get involved, you don't get involved to help, with this campaign to change this area, then that child who's whining and complaining, I shouldn't say whining, but that child who's grieving to get out of this area, if that child is forced to stay in this area until young adulthood, I guarantee that child's going to become a negative statistic, and it's probably already one of those 4 out of 10 children that's already dealing with PTSD. Very serious, guys. Very, very serious. And that being stated, I was going to give some information around, mental health, goodness gracious, mental health. But I'm gonna do a second video and talk about that, because my spirit is telling me this message needs to be self-contained around, understanding that there is statistics, by the government for this city, New Orleans, Louisiana, that shows the effect of raising children in these adverse conditions. And so either, we have the proper level of empathy towards, those babies. Primarily children of color are living in this area back here. New Orleans is becoming a very diversified city. Every time I come, it becomes more diversified, and it is my home. I have a home here still, and I'm born and raised in New Orleans. But it is becoming a very diverse, the city is growing in diversity. But in the lower Ninth Ward, the Ninth Ward, those areas are predominantly full of children of color, Aboriginal children there, and those are the children. So if you're looking at stats that say 4 out of 10 children in New Orleans are suffering with that, if you extrapolated, the white children out of that, I bet you that number would be 4 out of 5. That's how serious the situation is here in New Orleans. It's a travesty. It's at a crisis level, and nobody is taking any kind of action to address it. It's just excuses. If these people, let me give you one thing. Now this is how my brain works, okay? If these property owners are only held accountable for cutting their lots, but they're not held accountable for well, let's go back. If these property owners are not maintaining their property, so that's more than just cutting the lots, that's keeping the lots clean, etc., then every time the city has to go in, the city should fine them. The city should charge them an outrageous amount to cut the lot. So if it costs, like yesterday, I took and invested $50 to have the lot next door here cut because I just got tired of looking at it. So I took the initiative and I paid for that out of my own pocket. And that was a good friend of mine who did that for me. Typically, that lot probably would cost about $200 to cut. It was a mess. You saw it on the video. It was the first lot I think I showed. But what the city should do, instead of charging, if it would normally cost that property owner $150 to get that lot cut, if the city has to cut it, they need to charge that lot owner $500 if they don't cut it. And if they don't cut it, if the city has to pay that $500, give them 30 days. You follow me? To reimburse the city, and after 30 days, put a lien on that property, and whatever legally, change the laws if necessary. Give it another 30 days, possess the property, drop the price of that property, and then sell it. I would be happy to buy this property next door, but I'm not going to buy it at current value. I'm going to buy it at obvious value, okay? But I guarantee you that'll get the people off their behinds and get them taking care of their responsibility if they want to keep that property. It would get the city, some additional revenue, as well as if they don't take care of it, the city can turn around, sell that property at a huge discount to many of us who would gladly take that property, and invest, put some investment money in that property, and, obviously, expand our financial portfolio. That is not what we want to do, but if that's what's going to take to save these children and clean these streets up in New Orleans, by God, let's do it, okay? So that's where we are today. Just wanted to give you an update. I'll be getting back with you on Monday afternoon after the Councilwoman's meeting. Cindy Wynn, if you hear this video, I ask that, you recognize me, and I'll be there and hear what I have to say, and I have some other questions and even some solutions if I'm given the opportunity, to share that, okay? Thanks, guys. Love you. Thank you for your time. Again, all of you guys have been very helpful. And I just want to do a special shout out to one guy, Kevin Hungate. Kevin is the regional manager for Harbor Freight 2s. That guy is super fantastic. That guy has been on the JOB helping me push this video. So Kevin, 2 thumbs up to you, my brother. I appreciate it. You didn't have to do it, but you care. And that matters, okay? All right, guys. Thank you for listening. Have a great Saturday. I'll be back later with something else, but I just wanted to update you on recovering of Katrina. Bye now. Oh, subscribe, please. Bye.